I've just realised it was daytime when I started filming this, and now it's nighttime outside because so many things have happened. Where was I? What is up, everyone? Fish Shop Matt here. Obviously, I'm rolling up my sleeves, meaning business. So I've been down with MD Fish Tanks today, down in this studio, setting up a new fish tank, which has been good fun. But it got us on to testing water, and a few of your comments that you've left on some of my videos about testing water, and not complications, but questions about it, I suppose you would say. Now, I test my water fairly regularly. With being or working in the shop, we test every single system 3 times a week. So that it's intense. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then all the display tanks. So I don't know, a lot of tanks, probably 15, 16, 15 or 16 that we test 3 times a week. So it's generally like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Weekends are too mental, so we don't ever test on a weekend. But yeah, you get the idea. I do a lot of water testing. Anyway, I digress. The reason for this video is to do water testing. Now, the water test kit that I use generally is the NT Labs Aquarium Lab test kit. It covers all the basics, covers all of your main things that you need to worry about. That's the one I use at home. I find it generally quite easy and quite user-friendly. The colour cards on the back are all fairly different. Some test kits you can find the colour cards are all fairly similar. But anyway, in this video, I wanted to discuss water testing, what it means, which ones, how to test, everything like that. So let's get into it quickly. Now, personally, I would say water testing is fairly important in the hobby for maintaining, obviously, good water quality. There will be people out there like, I never test my water. And yeah, great. If it works for you, it works for you. It's a little bit riskier when you're sort of a new beginner in the hobby to not test your water. And I think overall, it might not be the testing of water that's the thing. It's the knowledge of knowing what is going on in your water, I think, is also a good thing, of how the ammonia and nitrite and nitrate and everything works together. So I think that's quite a good thing on the side of testing the water, really. It's not just about testing the water. It's knowing what's going on in your water. With this video, I'm going to try and keep it as user-friendly and as simple and, yeah, as simple as possible. I remember years and years ago when I started testing water and started getting into the hobby and wanting to understand more about my fish tank, it can be quite daunting and quite mad and lots of different things. You know, this test kit, the NT Labs Aquarium Lab test kit, has got 6 different things in it. And it does seem a little bit mental and a bit sort of crazy when you start looking at it. It's going back to sort of school science. It really isn't that difficult. So I'm going to try and use the dumbest, simplest terms in this, which might dumb it down a little bit, but at least it's the way that I learnt it, and it's the easiest and simplest option. Right, I suppose the first thing to do is talk you through the test kit. So let's bring this down. About there? That looks good, doesn't it? So, on the NT Labs test kit, you get all of the main parameters that you're going to have to worry about the majority of the time. There's 1 or 2 more that I might think about, but it's going to be a rare occasion that you're going to need them. So you do get your ammonia, your nitrite, and your nitrate, which are the 3 waste components from your fish, and you get your pH, your general hardness, GH, and your carbonate hardness, KH. That is pretty much, like I say, all the kits that you will need to worry about. Comes in a cardboard box, which I really like because there is so much plastic in this world. And obviously, a lot of the test kit, you have to use plastic bottles. So it's nice that they've done a cardboard box with cardboard inserts so you can recycle it. This is what you get in the kit. So I've actually bought a new test kit for this video, just because my test kit is a little bit wrecked, if I'm honest. Like, some of the stickers have peeled off where I've dropped the test tubes in water and all sorts of stuff. I have totally trashed it over the sort of probably the 1.5 years that I've had it. But yeah, this is a brand spanking new test kit, ready and raring to go. So you get your ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, pH, KH and GH. That's all your reagent bottles. Some of the bottles some of the tests you do need more bottles than others. just because of how they work and how they need to be read and how the colours need to come out. And yeah, it's as simple as that. You get a little syringe because every single test in this box requires 5 ml of water. So that's fairly simple and fairly easy. You can literally just use your syringe for that. And then each test tube sits in one of these holes when you need to be testing your water, which is, yeah, really simple and really nice. So once you've got your test kit there, your main thing is to go through and get all your test tubes ready. The good thing with this test kit actually as well over others is a lot of others, one, don't include KH and GH as standard, which is a winner, and also don't include enough test tubes to have one test tube per test. So you can, if you don't wash them out properly, and if you're a bit of a lazy fish keeper, you can end up getting problems. I remember that, I can't remember which way around it is, but I'm pretty sure if you drop ammonia into, I think it's the nitrite or the nitrate, if you drop that liquid into one of these, it goes like fluorescent pink instantly. It's really bad. So having them each in their own separate little test tube is ideal. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go get some water from one of my fish tanks, probably the rare tetra tank, and then we can test it, go through it all bit by bit, stage by stage, and have a bit of a discussion on how to fix it, how to move it, how to do what, how to test everything. Let's go get some water. So I suppose a quick overview, the 3 tests that you get, ammonia, nitrite and nitrate, they're your waste levels in your aquarium. They're your fish poo, that's the grim bit, that's the disgusting bit. So that is everything that is getting broken down. Pure fish waste is ammonia, that gets broken down by your filter into nitrite. That gets broken down into nitrate. Nitrate, unfortunately, doesn't really go anywhere in your tank. It just sits there. There are certain filter medias that will absorb it. And there are certain liquids that will reduce it as well. But mainly it's water changes and plants are going to use it as a food source. The other 3 that you've got in here is your pH, your KH, and your GH, which is essentially the acidity and the alkalinity of your aquarium, and the hardness and the mineral content of your aquarium. So you can separate the 2 sort of groups of 3 tests into 2 separate things. You've got your water hardnesses and mineral content, and then you've got your waste levels. But anyway, enough waffling. Let's get into it and let's test this water, and I'll talk you through each one as we go. That's still my face. That's what we want to see. Right, I think that looks good. I just need to move my screen, so if it goes a bit wobbly, I'm sorry. But then I can see what we're looking at. Just as a side note, actually, I know you can't see my face, but I just found the instructions, and they've got these like test markers, what do you call it? Records, that's what we call it. So it's like a testing record. It's always worth keeping this because it's all very knowing what your tests are, but if you haven't remembered what you tested last time or what parameters it was, we can't really tell you if there's something going wrong. So if your pH is tested at 8 this time, well, it might have been 6 last time, and that might be why all your fish are poorly, because of that massive swing in pH. So it's always good to keep a log of everything that you're doing on testing. But we'll start from left to right. We'll start with ammonia first, which is the first waste level, and we'll work through it. Let's go. So first up, like I say, we've got ammonia. Now, what is ammonia? Ammonia is the first waste level in the cycle. So it's what your fish excrete all the time. It is plant matter dying off. It's uneaten food. It's all of those sort of things. All that nastiness that you don't want in the aquarium, that is where your ammonia is coming from. So if you're having a spike in ammonia, there's something going wrong in your aquarium and you need to sort of, counteract it fairly quickly. The only other place I have had ammonia come from in the past is randomly people using bags of gravel from a building site. We had, I guess it was like concrete dust or something in there. That spiked the ammonia. We've had paint from a non-safe aquarium ornament. Well, it wasn't an aquarium ornament, it was an ornament, and that pushed their ammonia up. And also aerosols, like what do you call them? Like sprays, air sprays, like deodorants and things like that. We've had those cause ammonia spikes before as well if used too frequently around aquariums. So be careful with that. It can come from there as well. But that's what ammonia is. Now, the reason we test for ammonia is because it is one of the most toxic substances in the fish tank. It is undiluted fish waste, and if it spikes, it can cause problems with your fish quite dramatically and quite quickly. Now, with that being said, if your pH is below 7, and I wasn't going to go too technical with this, but this one's quite simple. If your pH is below 7, which we'll get into pH in a bit, what you find is the ammonia is fairly non-toxic. So the softer the water, or more acidic the water, the less toxic your ammonia is. But if that gets above 7, if the pH gets above 7, the ammonia becomes very, very toxic. So you do have to be very careful with it. The reason your ammonia may have spiked could be down to quite a few different reasons. It could be overfeeding, it could be adding too many fish at one time, it could be your filters sort of died almost, so all your bacteria died off in your filter due to a power cut or washing it under tap water. There's loads of different reasons that you can get an ammonia spike. You do need to be careful with it because this is one of the most toxic ones and can cause the most trouble. You can counteract it, so if you do find that you have an ammonia spike in your aquarium, you can use something like an ammonia remover in the aquarium, which is like a filter media that absorbs all the ammonia, or something like a filter start that will get the good bacteria going again and hopefully get the ammonia broken down, fingers crossed. So now we know roughly what ammonia is, what we're looking for, what's causing it. Let's have a look at the test for it. And if I press that, perfect. So ammonia is the first one in the box, yellow one with the most bottles. It's a fairly simple test, even though it's got the most bottles. It's 5 drops of 1, 5 drops of 2, 5 drops of 3, shake it, wait for 10 minutes. Then you look at it and you compare it to this chart. So you can see on this chart here, you've got yellow at the top, which is safe. Anything after that is a worry. If you're down here, I'm surprised anything is still swimming around in your aquarium. But yeah, very simple. So let's quickly test this. We'll get 5 ml of water, 5 drops of each, and let's see where we're at with this test. So there we go, we've done 5 drops of each, it's 5 ml of water, 5 drops of each reagent, tipped the bottle up a few times, and now we've waited 10 minutes. So 10 minutes has gone by. I'm hoping you guys can sort of see we are on 0, which is always good. Obviously, my tetra tank has been running a long, long time. There's a good amount of filtration in there, there's a good amount of plants, so we sort of suspected that that would be the case. I'm going to keep all my test tubes here until the end, and then I can go and wash them all out. So that's ammonia. Let's move on to the next one, nitrite. So next up on the list is nitrite, which is what ammonia is broken down into. So this is like the second stage on the filter. So all your beneficial bacteria that's in your filter in your aquarium will be breaking down your ammonia into nitrite with an I, not an A. Very confusing. People do mix them up quite often, but this is nitrite. Even though this isn't as toxic as ammonia, you still don't want really any in your aquarium. Yes, it's a little bit less dangerous, but yeah, you still want to aim for 0. No nitrite in there whatsoever. Now, this can come from, again, many different ways. It can be disrupting your filters, it can be overfeeding, it can be adding too many fish at one time. Obviously, if your filter's quite quick and it breaks down your ammonia into nitrite quite quickly, you might end up with a spike of nitrite before you actually even see the ammonia or even able to test for the ammonia. So it's always worth paying attention when you're adding new fish, cleaning out your filters, feeding, everything like that, because this is where you can cause the most problems. Now, eventually your nitrite, just hit my syringe, eventually your nitrite will be broken down into nitrate, which is the least harmful and the least toxic of all of them. But if you measure any measure of it, you need to get rid of it. You do need to sort it out. So again, it's filter start, getting those good beneficial bacteria in there to break everything down and to start sort of removing that waste level is going to be ideal. And water changes, you know, if it's only a low amount, you might get away with 25%. Give it an hour or two and then you could always retest and see. You've got to let that water mix in though. If it's higher than that, you could always go for a 50% if it's between, it sounds horrible, if it's life and death for the fish, you're better off trying to do a bigger water change than just leaving them and hoping that they come through it. How do we test for nitrite? So nitrite is one of the easy ones. It's actually only got one bottle, and you only have to wait for 2 minutes, and it's stuck in the box. Got it. So it's only got one bottle, one test tube, one bottle, and it's a really quick one. It's 2 minutes, 5 drops, 5 mil, simple as. So let's get it done. So, as you can see on here, this is your nitrate one. Sorry, I've got to make sure my lights aren't in the way. So you can see 0 is clear, so it's just going to be a clear test tube. Anything that's got a pink tinge to it, and down here is going to be bad. So yeah, you want to be making sure that you haven't got any of that in there. As I said, 5 mil, 5 drops, shake it, 2 minutes, job done. So let's quickly get this one done and see if there's any nitrite in the water. So we've done all the necessary things, we've left it 2 minutes, and possibly, as you can see, we are at 0. So you would see that being a really pinky sort of colour, starting to go into that bright pink if we had a problem with that. So next up, let's do nitrate. So as I said, nitrate is the last one on the sort of waste side of things. Now nitrate, you're a mini dog. You okay? Nitrate. Yeah, nitrate. It's the last waste level, so it's what everything is broken down into. Your ammonia, your nitrite, all broken down into nitrate, which is the final one. Now, this isn't necessarily toxic massively. You can go up all the way to sort of 40, 50, maybe even higher parts per million and still be vaguely safe. The higher it is, the more risk you are running. It's a bit of a sort of knife edge type rope sort of deal. Some fish will deal with it, some fish won't. And yeah, it's just being cautious. Ideally, you're wanting to aim for a level of 0, but unfortunately most water sources and most tap water companies and everything like that, most of the time there is a little bit of nitrate in the tap water. So you're never ever going to really hit a level of 0. But as close to it as possible is perfect. Nitrate is one of those ones that builds up really slowly in the aquarium, and I find people sort of get tricked by it. Oh, it's only 20, oh, it's only 30, and then all of a sudden it's 60 and all their fish are passing away or they've got really bad algae issues. And it's one of those ones that creeps up really, really slowly. When you think about it, if you're doing a 25% water change once a week and you're removing, I don't know, 5 parts of that nitrate that is being built up in your aquarium by doing that 25% water change. If your aquarium is building up, I don't know, 20 parts for argument's sake of nitrate every week, and you're only removing 5, every week it's going to get higher and higher and higher. You need to make sure you're diluting it and you make sure that you're removing it. Obviously, plant growth and algae growth will help you because they're both going to be using it as a food source. So the more plant growth you've got in there, in theory, the less nitrates you should have in there. But it is definitely worthwhile paying attention to it because it's one of those ones that can creep up on you. Getting rid of nitrate is quite easy. It is pretty much water changes, plants. Floating plants are actually a really good one for getting rid of nitrates. They'll cover the surface and wipe out that nitrate really, really quickly. There are filter medias out there and things that can do it, but old-fashioned water changes and getting some plants in there is normally your best bet. We've now got a test for nitrate. So what you've got with nitrate, 2 bottles, and you need to make sure that you shake them. That's the main thing that they say there, is that the liquid inside them can sort of separate and you end up with like a lumpy powdery bit at the bottom. But other than that, it's really simple. Again, add 5 ml of water, shake the reagent, 6 drops, shake, and then read in, I can't read that upside down, wait 10 minutes. So let's go again. So we have waited 10 minutes and we are, surprisingly, I think, at 0. Obviously, I've got my monstera growing out the top of that tank. I've got some floating plants. I've got loads and loads of plants in there. So it surprises me that we are at 0, to be honest, but all good that we are. So that's nitrate done. Now we're on to the pHs and the hardnesses of the water and how they can affect it. So next we're going to go for pH, because that is the one that people sort of think about a lot. It's strange, you know, they do come in, have you tested your water? Oh, I've tested pH. There's a lot more to it than that. pH is the measure of the acidity or the alkalinity of the aquarium. So pH of 7 is slap bang in the middle and sort of neutral, as we would call it. Anything below that, down towards 6, is acidic. Anything above that, up towards 8, is classed as alkaline. Different fish prefer these different water parameters. So you'll find most of your Amazonian species, you know, your tetras, your angelfish, your discus, all of that sort of thing, they normally prefer your more sort of softer, acidic pH of 7 and below. Whereas things like live bearers, who else? Goldfish, of course, Malawian Tanganyikan cichlids. They all prefer the pH being harder, so anything 7 and above. It's always worth looking at the individual species you're keeping and sort of trying to match it as close as you can, but depending on where they've come from, if they're tank bred, if they're wild caught, they might not be as sensitive to the pH as you may think. There's really no real wrong or right answer for pH. It just depends on what you're keeping. And it might even be the case that your local area is really hard or really soft. So your local aquatic store might already have the fish in your water parameters that you're keeping at home. So you might not even have to adjust anything. More people have problems by adjusting the pH of their tanks than they do just letting it be. And, you know, yeah, okay, if the pH is a little bit higher or a little bit lower, you can normally get away with it. But if it's massively out, it is worth looking at changing it. There's probably more than I can fit into this video that I'd like to say about pHs, KHs, and messing around with your water parameters. So I'll do a bigger video on that at a later date. For now, you've got a good idea of what it is, where it's coming from, what it's doing. So let's test it quickly. Right, so pH is quite an easy one. Again, I'll say that in every one of these, to be fair. It's quite an easy one. It's because this test kit's easy. So you've got 5 ml of water. I can show you on here, actually, look. 5 ml of water, 5 drops, and then you shake it, you read it. They've got the sort of safe values here from 7 to 8. Personally, I think 6.5 to 8 is normally fairly safe. 8 is on the slightly higher side, 6.5 is on the slightly lower side, but as long as you're somewhere in that middle ground, you should be absolutely fine. So let's test this water and see what my pH is in the Tetra tank. Tested our pH. I think we're about 7.5 there. It's not too bad at all. Middle of the sort of road, so a perfect neutral, well, no, just above neutral pH. So that's perfect on that front. Next one is carbonate hardness. So what is KH? KH it stands for carbonate hardness. And what that is it's the buffering capabilities of your water. So if you've got a very, very low KH, you can suffer from pH swings because there's just nothing there to keep that pH topped up. Unfortunately, most things in the aquarium try to sort of acidify everything. So fish waste and fish poo, that's the same thing, fish food, plants, everything like that naturally tries to acidify the aquarium over time. Obviously, rocks and gravel and things some of them can help bring the pH up. But most of the time, the aquarium will naturally acidify over time. And if your KH is low, there's no way that it can bring itself back up and keep buffering itself. Most of the time your tap water is absolutely fine and you can use that to buffer your KH back up, but sometimes you do have to put in sort of a KH buffer into the water to bring it back up and to make sure you're not suffering from those big pH swings. Now, middle of the road for KH is normally about 4 to about 8. 4 is at its lowest, really. And that's where you want to be aiming. That's a good benchmark for where you want to be. KH is really easy to test for. Where are we on this one? Down the bottom here. Essentially, it's a just change colour job. So what I'm going to do, take you down again. Now what you've got on this one is it's this bottom one here, and what you've got is a colour change. So with the KH test, fairly easy. 5 ml of water, simple as that. All of these are 5 ml, which makes life really, really simple. KH test vial, and all we do is we start adding the liquid or the solution. So what we do is we do 1 drop, and it should go blue. There we go. I think you can see that sort of thing. It's quite blue. Five drops. There we go. That is now yellow. So there we go. 5 drops is absolutely perfect. So yeah, it's a little bit on the low side. You know, I'm getting towards the sort of bottom marker of where the KH needs to be, but we're still safe at 5 drops. So a few little water changes should bring that back up. Lastly, we have general hardness. So what is GH? GH is general hardness. So it's the measure of minerals in the water. What you'll find is obviously the more minerals, the harder the water. The less minerals, the softer the water. And this sort of plays into the pH like we were discussing earlier. Some fish, blowies, tanganicans, all those Rift Valley cichlids, they like a harder water. So they'll like more minerals in the water. With things like your Amazonian species and some of your sort of Southeast Asian species, they prefer a softer water. So again, lower mineral content, so a lower GH. So with the hardness levels, your softer water species, probably anywhere from 3 to 6 on how this measures. It measures in DGH, which I won't get into now. There's a few different ways of measuring GH, KH and things, but for this test kit, this one does it in DGH. So with that, 3 to 6 is probably your soft water species, maybe up to 8. 10 to 14, 15 is probably where your hard water species are going to be. Anyone else slap bang in the middle, maybe live bearers, your pond fish like your goldfish and things like that, they'd be somewhere in the middle. You can test your tap water to make sure you know what's going on. This way you might find that actually you can just use your tap water to buffer it up if you do find you've got a low GH. But there are a few different ways of doing it. Obviously, if you need to bring the GH down, you can use things like reverse osmosis water, buffered to the correct level, and that you can use then as your water changes, and you can bring that GH down. If you want to buffer it up, you could be using sort of some of the more mineral-heavy rocks, things like ocean rock and some of the other different scaping rocks can bring the pH back up. It just depends on your situation as to how easily and which way you need to take it. So this is the last one that we've got to test, and it's GH. So it's quite an easy one. Let's do it quickly. Down again. So GH is quite easy in the fact that you've got the test tube, a standard 5 ml of water, and what you do with this one is you add 2 drops of GHA, which should turn the water a very pink sort of colour. 1, 2. And I think we can put the lid on and shake it. Yeah, we can. So we put the lid on, or not, there we go. Very pink sort of colour. And then all we do is we add reagent B until it turns to a dark blue sort of colour. So you go, and obviously count the drops as they go in. 1. There we go. So that's now gone that bluey sort of purpley sort of colour, and that's it. So I think that was 9 or 10. So again, a little bit higher than normal for, you know, the tetras and things like that, but they get on absolutely fine in that water, no problems at all. That's it. That's all of the testing done. So that's it. Hopefully this helps you. It's a bit of a bigger video. I think it will be anyway. It'll be quite a large video, but it is all the testing, everything you need to sort of test and work out. There's a couple of other little tests that I'll do in a later video that aren't included in the main kit. Aren't included in this main kit, but they're a good thing to have if you're suffering with algae and a couple others anyway. But anyway, I'll get into that another day. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been useful. As always, I've been Fish Shop Matt. I'll see you in the next one. Don't know what it is. See you in the next one.